Hi, I'm Arielle Sandor, and I'm the co-founder of Duma Works. So Duma Works is a mobile-based job matching platform that helps job seekers get their professional profiles out there in Kenya and other emerging markets. And it also helps employers to create a better assessment and a better recruitment process while they're looking for candidates for their openings. Well, Christine and I were very much a team at the beginning, and having that kind of hierarchical structure is very. So the way that Christine and I dealt with being co-CEOs was that we just, I don't know, we both needed each other. It was both of us starting our first company in a foreign country, and we both brought very different brains to the table. We both had different things that shone about us that made us unique, and because our mentalities were so different in the way that we approach things, we wound up just being a great team to bounce ideas off of each other and brainstorm and really like take what we're learning and putting it into a business model. And so when we were thinking about, who's going to be the CEO, it didn't really matter. We just had our tasks pretty, well, they were pretty much the same in the beginning. It was a lot of like research and figuring out the market and talking to employers and talking to job seekers and getting people signed up. But then as we grew and when we moved to Nairobi and the team started growing, Christine became much more of like a product focus. So she was working as a product manager, I would say, before we got a chief technology officer to help the team understand the types of puzzles we needed to work on and what we needed to get done. And she took over the design. She's a designer now. She just taught herself website design. And she took over, I don't know, her tasks were different, and I did a lot of the relationship building and development of, job seeker platforms, and I don't know, it was just very different roles. I did a lot of the blogs, the communication, the PR. She did a lot of the like financial, legal, product stuff. So, and which was just separate. I think that the term social enterprise has been shifting over time. I think that in Kenya, especially, like you can call anything a social enterprise, and people will be happy about it. There are a lot of impact investors out there and grants that are looking to fund sustainable business models, and that means that the company that they're going to be funding is a for-profit company a lot of the time. And so that's definitely shifted over time, and we've benefited from it. So where we first raised a lot of funding was from grants and competitions that we'd won through networks and school and Kairos and eLab and all these different things, Ashoka, MTVU. We got a bunch of different things from those, just applying to competitions and winning. Also TigerLaunch and Pitch, we won some cash from TigerLaunch, so that was good. We also got private investor funding from friends, families, and fools, the angels investors in the beginning that always believe in you and your idea. So we were in Kenya and hadn't really thought about raising money, but we were approached by some people that we'd been working with for a while, including one of our mentors from Startup Weekend, and they were like, I'm thinking of investing in you guys. And we said, okay, that sounds like a great idea. What does that entail? So we kind of figured that out. We wound up raising about $70,000 from those people, which has brought us to today. We also won a grant from the Rockefeller Foundation for the Centennial Innovation Challenge. We wound up getting $100,000 from that competition. So currently we have a runway of about a year left. I started Princeton not really knowing what I was going to do at all, and I wound up majoring in history because I figured I wouldn't have to choose that way. And entrepreneurship kind of just fell into our laps. My co-founder Christine and I, we were both in Kenya over the summer for thesis research, working with youth groups in Nakuru, Kenya. And when we got back, we were at a Reach Out Fellowship meeting and talking about our experiences in Kenya. And one of the heads of Reach Out recommended us to work together to push through an academic proposal to go back to Kenya, and we wound up taking his advice, and what we thought would be a one-year academic fellowship turned into a much larger entrepreneurship journey. While Christine and I were both in Nakuru, we were working with youth groups And it was in different fields. I mean, I was working with street theater to raise awareness about public health issues, and she was working with the slum community to look at the socioeconomic implications of HIV/AIDS in the community. So very kind of different topics. But at the end of the day, youth unemployment is a huge, huge thing that you really can't ignore and you can't help but notice. And one of the big problems we saw was like, why can't you just get connected? Why can't you just put yourself out there online or whatever it is? But the thing is, a lot of people don't have internet access, or they don't have regular access to a computer. They only have access through their phone. So we were just kind of like shaking our heads, being like, why is this such a hard thing to do now in this digital day and age? And also we found that a lot of people were applying for jobs that they weren't really qualified for, but because they knew somebody who was doing the hiring and they wanted to get that family connection. But they wound up being really unhappy at the job and actually not lasting because they weren't the right fit. So we saw both of those things, and we were kind of came back and put our heads together, and we're like, well, okay, there's a lot of mobile phone in Kenya. It's a huge amount of people, and they have mobile money. They're pretty advanced in applications that they use just through a basic SMS platform. So we were like, okay, let's do it on a mobile phone. Let's make people able to create a profile via a regular text message. And that's kind of where we started from. We thought it was going to be a really peer-to-peer model where, people could send a request for a plumber in their location who had been recommended by a friend of theirs, because there's the social connection word of mouth system within the Duma Works platform. But peer-to-peer is really hard to monetize. There's a lot of reasons why we kind of pivoted out of that to do what we do today, which is, high quality and more efficient hiring and recruiting solutions for small and medium enterprises. So it's been a journey. There's been a lot of iterations of the business model, but that's kind of how we started out. We graduated in 2012. We started developing the platform in November of 2011 when we figured out the idea. Then we got started at a startup weekend on campus, and wound up we both are not tech people, and we wound up like working with a great team of people to develop this MVP not really type of thing, and actually met one of our investors at that competition, and then kind of just it snowballed. There were a lot of opportunities at Princeton to do a business model pitch. We were in John Danner social entrepreneurship class, EGR 458 at the time, and so we were always like talking about how we were going to make the business model better and all this other stuff. And we did the Princeton pitch, we did TigerLaunch, and we did the eLab program. So because of Princeton, we were able to get a lot more traction than we might have gotten otherwise. And that's kind of when we got it started, and when it started really snowballing. And we moved to Kenya because the eLab gave us a summer stipend, and we were able to afford plane tickets because of that. So we were the first class at eLab, so we were kind of the guinea pigs. But one of the best aspects that we got from eLab was the incredible network that it provided us. I mean, Princeton is phenomenal as it is, and a lot of people who we talk to and get mentorship from are from that network. But eLab was also great about mentors, just helping you work through things that you're not sure how to think about as a first-time entrepreneur, or introducing you to somebody else who might be able to help you. Maybe they were doing something in a similar sector to you. So the eLab had all these different lunch hour with this mentor from this company, really kind of big people. And so it was good for the network, but also for validation. Like being a part of that program was great for us because we were able to say, well, Princeton's accelerator program is incubating us, or incubator program is incubating us, and a lot of people because of that said, oh, your idea is legitimate. When are you going to Kenya? And getting started with it. In Princeton, we first started working with the guys who had pitched in over startup weekends, because again, Christine and I were not product developers or tech developers or anything. So we really needed a software team behind us to kind of push out the first product. And we wound up working with a few people, but the ones that really stuck with us was Eric Kuto, who was another alum of 2012 with us. and he wound up doing the incubator, E-Lab with us as well. And then we also had Luke Paulson, who was a sophomore at the time, who was kind of interning with us over the summer, and he kind of started to put down that fundamental, backbone with Eric over the summer. And then the process was very different when we got to Kenya. When we got to Kenya, we had a friend who we'd met that both Christine and I knew from the summer before, who recommended us to one of her trusted friends, who she said could help us with some of our outreach. And a lot of what we were doing in the beginning, we were living in Nakuru, not Nairobi. So the business development aspect was lower and the market research aspect was a lot higher. And so having, Kevin, who we still work with today on the team from the get-go through our network, was really important for us. And then what we did was we wound up either hiring through the actual job network that we cultivated or through connections from current workers. We feel that we've kind of taken a startup environment from the States and brought it to Kenya. We have all these beanbags lying around, which I could show you if I didn't want to move the camera around so much. And we have it's a very fun feel. It's a very family, close-knit, high degree of respect, high degree of experimentation. We use agile development, so it's a very fast-paced, lean model. I think one of our core tenets as a company is to provide excellent customer care to the job seekers and the employers who are using our service, which gets overlooked very often in Kenya, especially. So having that kind of feedback for job seekers and employers to actually know what happened to their CV or know what happened to their job, it's a really important aspect. And because of that, we wound up hiring people who are very patient, follow up with people, relationship focused and oriented people. But otherwise, our culture is really fun. We do Friday happy hours and go for team bonding activities. And the type of person we look for is somebody who's willing to learn, willing to listen, and willing to grow. And excited about what we do, excited about the social impact. I'm fresh out of college and I've been running the company with Christine for the last 2 years, but you still kind of learn as you go along. And that's definitely, I like that. I like being thrown into the fire or the pool and seeing if I can swim, right? But it's definitely challenging because there's so many aspects. And we're in a foreign country and doing a tech company. And I know a lot about tech now, but when we started, it wasn't like that as much. So it was kind of like a learning curve for Kenya. And then there's Swahili, of course, which is language, so we learned that. Then there was figuring out the product market fit in Kenya. Then there was growing a team and hiring people in Kenya. Then there was networking and building relationships in Kenya, and it's gotten to how we're going to manage the team efficiently, make sure everybody's happy, and also put out the best damn product that we can in Kenya, and then hopefully grow to other African countries in the near future, maybe this year. So it's just kind of you learn as you go along, and you print out a lot of legal templates from online to write your contracts and your investment term sheets and stuff. And you're like, well, you know what? This is better that I hand it in than I don't do it at all. So kind of learn as you go along. That's probably been the biggest challenge. But I wouldn't have it any other way. How we attracted our first customers. So honestly, and to this day, it's the same. It's been all about networking. I mean, Kenya is a very trust-based market, and then recruiting. We're kind of a recruiting company, right? We're a digital matchmaking for jobs, so basically recruiting. It's very trust-based also, and it's, still people think about it, at least here, as a very human-to-human thing. So most of what we've been doing, and the way that we got our first customers was through our networks. Either our networks or the networks of our staff and team at the time, just people who believed in us and trusted us, and we kind of tried to deliver as best we could. We delivered once, and now actually what's happening right now is that we don't have a marketing budget at all. We still don't market, but we get repeat customers who come back to us because they love our service, and then we get referrals. So everybody's telling their friends, and I think it's a real need. I think we've finally nailed the product market fit because we're getting a lot of traction from doing basically nothing, just doing a good job. I had secured a consulting job in the city and had deferred, and Christine was applying to med school and was deferring. So we both were kind of all right, well, hopefully this works out. And we're excited about doing it and, kind of trying it out. And then I decided to turn down the job, obviously, and Christine deferred medical school for another year, but she's actually back in medical school right now, so she's enrolled. But in terms of whether or not we thought it wouldn't work, I mean, Christine and I are both very strong-willed, stubborn, and often too great of an extent people, and like the attitude was like, whatever, like we're pretty smart people, hypothetically, and as long as we can pivot and like move in the market and like really figure out what's going on, like, yeah, we're gonna do it. And because it was both Christine and I, we were able to like pump each other up. Like having a co-founder is super helpful because you can just like, if I'm in a down place and I'm just like, gosh, I don't really know, like this whole living on $2 a day thing is like kind of driving me nuts. Like I'm a little tired of it. Maybe we should leave. And then Christine's like, no, like blah, 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 this is so amazing, And I obviously wasn't gonna leave, but I was like, oh, down in the dumps. Christine would be like, what's up with the upside down smile? We're going to do this. We're going to knock it out of the park. And then Christine was kind of doubting. I was always like, no, Christine, like things are great. We're going to do it. Look at all this learning. And along the way, we were kind of very conscious about the fact that we're really growing a tremendous amount personally from this whole experience. And so, I don't know, if you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of all in or nothing. Like you're either in or you're out. And you have to kind of just turn a blind eye to all the potential failures and just say to yourself, like, you know what, we're going to figure it out. I have no regrets. No, I don't. I mean, I don't want to like go into my life philosophies, but I don't believe in regrets. But I don't. Absolutely not. Duma has been the best idea of my life, and it made me realize that I do like entrepreneurship. Like I was always, I never wanted to go into consulting. I never wanted to go into this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what am I going to do? And then entrepreneurship kind of came along, and it makes a lot of sense. So I'm just happy to have been given the chance to realize what I'm good at. And now that we've been doing a lot of recruiting, like we see so many patterns, and I can understand what it means to embark on a career path now from an outside perspective as well. And at any time I'm kind of giving people career advice, I'm just like, wow, it's so hard to help people understand what they're good at. And I'm so happy that I stumbled along, along this. And also, I mean, just it's been tremendous. Like we've these incredible community of people, Princeton and outside, who believe in us and want us to succeed and follow us, and we've grown so much. Even just Christine and I working together, like we learned so much. Like my relationships have been positively impacted because of all the communication we have to do to make sure that we, engage with each other honestly and respectfully. And it's been incredible. Every aspect of your life is impacted for the better because of it, at least for me. So the current business model for Dumas, I talked a little bit about how it used to look like with the peer-to-peer, kind of like one-off minimal payments. But now we do a corporate packages, so we do tiered pricing for, like I said, micro, small companies, SMEs who are looking for a fast and easy solution to get the right people, because we believe recruiting should be fun, and it's not right now. The way it is, people have to sift through CVs, and it's all manual, and then they have to call them in for the interview, and there's maybe 2 candidates out of 150 that are actually qualified. And so what we do is make life easier for them. And so the first tier is that we do a basic sourcing and basic fit. So what we have right now is we have a network. So we source within the network with our algorithm and software, and then we issue SMS-based surveys kind of to them to see, or tests to see, what type of person they are, what type of job they're looking for. Do they fit that kind of company culture? Is it the right salary range? Is it the right years of experience? That sort of thing. That's the basic tier. Then we move up to the 10. So then there's 10,000 Kenyan shillings, and employers get the basic features, but also we do competency testing, which is what we got the Rockefeller grant for. And we've developed kind of a library of screening questions for various sectors that we can administer those tests actually via mobile phone as well. So people can SMS that back in. And then we have kind of custom packages that range within 50,000 Kenyan shillings. So 2,000 Kenyan shillings is around $20, 10,000 is around 100, 50,000 is around 500. So for 50,000, we'll do a lot more custom things. Maybe we'll bring somebody into interview. Maybe we'll do an interview on the phone. But the kind of model is to be sustainable, so we can grow into different countries. And so we're hoping to have more people congregate around the 10,000 Kenyan shilling plan. And so far, our traction's been great. We've hired for over 200 employers all around Kenya. We have over 10,000 job seekers in our database and growing every day. We've connected 4,500 people to job opportunities, and the response rate for employers is phenomenal. They just love the service and they love what we're doing, and they come back for more and tell their friends. So we're really happy about finally finding our product market fit. Like, took us long enough, right? But so that's kind of where we are right now in terms of our business model. The advice that I would have for kind of aspiring entrepreneurs at Princeton would be that just run with your idea. Run with your idea, talk to as many people about it as possible. Email as many people as you can from TigerNet. Just ask for their feedback, even if you're really not sure how they can be of help. They might have a better idea than you even do. And get to know about the opportunities that are out there, like the competitions or the accelerators, or what have you. Even just studying abroad, you never know when you're going to stumble upon a good idea. To make sure that you're informed about the types of funding opportunities or competition opportunities or outside of Princeton opportunities, just stay involved and stay in the loop, and don't be afraid to just tell people your idea. Nobody's going to steal it. Like, at the end of the day, it's all about execution. Just talk about your idea, get people excited about it, and build a really cool community around yourself. And that's what will help drive you through. Even if your idea fails, at the end of the day, like, you've tried and you're better off for it. Like, you don't need to do the 2-year consulting thing. You don't need to have that safe path. Like, try to take a little bit of risk, and I think it will pay off. So that's what I have to say to aspiring entrepreneurs. There are so many startups that we've seen in a similar sector to us. We thought, like, oh, the biggest competition ever. Like, oh, they stole our idea. Like, oh, and then they just, like, go out of business if something happens. They have co-founder splits. They have they run out of money. They haven't found the right product market fit yet. There's just so many things that can go wrong. So there are lots of good ideas, but if you can't figure out how to really execute it, build the right team around your products, like build your products smartly in a lean way and go aggressive, if you can't figure out what the market really needs, like, you're going to have problems. So, ideas are fun to talk about, but at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of stuff to be done. My name is Arielle Sandor, and I am a Princeton entrepreneur.